Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of Let's Talk Immigration. I'm not sure if we're streaming on Telegram or not right now. I'm hoping that we are. Gonez, give me a thing if we are. 4 viewers already. If you have questions, ask them here in YouTube or on Facebook, ideally, and they show up really fast for me. Telegram people have to copy paste them for me. I don't think we are streaming on Telegram yet. What is up? Okay. Texted Isabella to hit the button. I'm not sure which button it is. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead and continue since we got 6 viewers. We got about a few questions coming, but keep your questions coming. YouTube and Facebook are the best place to share them. If you share them on Telegram, someone has to copy paste, and that person isn't here yet right now. Okay. First thing I want to talk about. I recently heard about a case that's just really bothering me because I realized that a lot of people don't realize this, okay? If you're in the U.S. on a non-immigrant visa that does not have work authorization, such as a visitor visa or student visa, you do not need to be working. And it is very bad, the consequences, if you do. The situation I became aware of is someone who is actually being detained right now when they tried to re-enter the U.S. because, as a matter of practice, on a regular basis, the Customs and Border Patrol took their phone, hooked it to their machine, scrubbed it from data, and there's this place where he's texted his friend where he's like, sure, I will help you move if you give me pizza and beer. Well, guess what? He's got compensated for work. So he has worked in the U.S. and now he's being detained. He tried to re-enter the U.S. and he's being, instead of being in classes, going to school, he's being detained and about to be deported. So when the U.S. says your non-immigrant visa does not allow you to work, they are serious about that, okay? And if you think that you can enter the United States without them searching your devices, you are mistaken. It happens with irregular frequency. Okay, I've had my devices searched, not ironically entering Canada, not entering the U.S., but they do that. Okay, so don't think that you can get away with stuff like that. It's just better not even to try. Okay. Got that off my chest. Other thing I'll talk about, the ICE lawsuit. That's the lawsuit we're filing, asylum seekers whose data was released by ICE. We're filing a lawsuit against them for that. And we already filed it, I guess. And I'll be amending the complaint next week. I think I'm going to add a few co-counsel. There's a couple other attorneys that want to be involved, and I think that's great. I'm adding some plaintiffs to the case, but no more. So if you haven't already talked to me about that, it's too late to be added. Okay. It's just we're going from 21 plaintiffs to, I think, 35 or something like that. I'll be filing the motion for class certification. So in that case, the asylum seekers case against ICE, we're going to be seeking class-wide relief for all 6,200 people whose data was compromised. Okay. So if you were not able to participate as a plaintiff, it's okay because the existing plaintiffs will be class representatives and they will look out for your interest as well. Okay, now I'll go to DVs, which will probably be what my questions are going to be at today. Gomez class members, which includes Mohammed Fong Kennedy plaintiffs and our Project Voyager clients, and also the Good Luck, Ray, Go clients, all the DV 2020 and 2021 people that have a future possibility of a visa. We are still waiting on the Circuit Court of Appeals for their opinion on the Biden administration's appeal. Okay. I don't know when that will happen. There's no way to know when it'll happen. 20 of you will text me today and ask me that question, even though I just said that. There's no way to know when they will answer the appeal. Now, what can we do between now and then? Pretty much nothing. But I'm like you. If you're one of these people in this situation, I am frustrated and looking for things to do. Last week, I sent a letter to all the Democratic members of the House Judiciary Committee, drawing their attention to this, because yesterday they had a hearing. Or was that today? I think it was today. Wednesday. Yeah, it's today. They had a hearing today in D.C., the House Judiciary Committee did, on the crisis at the border. Well, part of the thing, in my view, that's driving the crisis at the border is legal paths to immigration are being throttled by the administration. That includes the Good Luck and Gomez appeals. And I have proof. Here's the proof. Some of the people that were Gomez class members and Good Luck plaintiffs have already entered the U.S. at the border because they have decided to say, forget the legal path that may come. They were escaping the Taliban, or they were escaping conscription in Russia, or famine somewhere. And they're like, just forget that legal path. We just have to get in the U.S. And they went ahead and came to the Mexican border. So it really does drive migration at the border when the Biden administration cuts off legal paths to immigration. The other example I have, of course, is how the Biden administration is deprioritizing immigrant visas generally, like family-based immigrant visas, and instead focusing on students and tourists because they think it's good for the economy. I think the Biden administration, by doing that, is actually indirectly causing more people to show up at the Mexican border. So anyway, I sent a letter. I don't think probably people read it, but I don't know if anything's going to happen with it. So I get it. I know that you want to do something, but it's very unlikely we can do anything until we have two options. We wait for the court to give its opinion, or we talk the Biden administration into dropping the appeal. I don't have any leverage with the Biden administration, but I look for it all the time. So I have a tweet pinned. If you haven't retweeted it already, it's probably got 1,000 retweets. That's to the top of my Twitter that says, "Hey, Secretary Blinken, a good thing to do over the holidays would be to drop your appeal." I didn't hear back on that, so I don't think he's doing it. So that's what I had to say about DV 2020 and 2021. What our firm has been up to lately, we've been doing a lot of in a new direction. We're doing defense of people that are in removal proceedings. My law partner, Rafael Urena, is who you want to talk to if you are interested in that kind of representation. We're doing a lot of asylum claims. We're doing a lot of petitions for relatives of green card holders and U.S. citizens. And we are doing a lot of mandamus lawsuits, both against USCIS for delays they're causing and against the State Department for delays they're causing. Particularly, we're doing a lot of AP mandamuses. These are mandamuses for people that have gone to interview and were given the DS 5535 questions and handed their passport back and never issued a visa. Some people come to me a month after this happened. Some people come to me 6 months. Some people come to us. I had one yesterday that's been 3 years since that happened, and they're just coming to us. Here's the deal. I don't even think anymore it matters how long after the interview that you choose to file that mandamus. What's important is that you file it, and you file it as soon as you can. The reason I say that is the government doesn't want to fight those mandamuses. They don't want to have to explain to a federal court judge why Iranians just happen to all be in AP. I mean, it looks like the Biden administration is running the same travel ban scam that the Trump administration was. And I think that they don't want to come clean with that. And that's why when we file a mandamus lawsuit for a family that's stuck in AP, they just push the button and all of a sudden the visa decision is there. So if you're interested in that, talk to me. I love talking about that. And I'll tell you my advice. So is that all we're doing? That's most of what our firm is doing right now. So let me jump right into questions now because I see we're getting quite a bit. Hello, Yusuf. Dr. Usama says, greetings from Egypt. Is there any marks about the final judgment? No, we don't know anything about we're not waiting on final judgment and good luck. We're waiting on the opinion from the Court of Appeals, and we do not have any information on that. Good morning, James. My favorite, most loyal listener, follower. I'm going to have you as a guest, I swear. You're getting impatient with the appeal, as we've all put time and no positive results. The court is looking into other cases except DV 2021. Why? Well, most of those appeals were filed before DV 2021. There are hundreds of cases that have waited longer than ours. So they are not necessarily adjudicated. Those opinions do not normally come in order, okay? Some are a lot more important than others. Some involve people that are in the hospital. Some involve people whose liberty is at stake, who are in danger of being imprisoned unlawfully or being deported. And many, many different appeals affect human lives differently. I would say it's very compelling, the impact that this appeal has on so many, but it's not the only appeal that affects many people, okay? So we just have to be patient. That's all we can do. Amin says, good evening, boss. Good evening. Audrey says, can you give the top 3 tips for Russians, DV 2020, 2021? Yes. You said DV 2020, 2021. DV 2021 Russians, the only ones who have a path forward are the ones who were waiting on an embassy in the Schengen area or South Africa before September 30th of 2021, and then you may qualify for the ready order. Or you were a good luck plaintiff. If you didn't fit one of those 2 criteria, your journey's over. But if you fit one of those criteria, are you a DV 2020 Russian? I don't know if I'm going to have 3 tips. I have one great big tip. Work now on your mobility, in that making sure that you can travel outside of Russia when the time comes. What I mean is procure a visitor visa. If you can't get a Schengen visa, I understand that's very difficult for Russians right now. Work on visas to other countries that you can get a visa to, because it's possible that we could get your interview scheduled in another country, but if you don't have a visa to that other country, that's not going to help. So now is a good time for you to do some research and try to be resourceful. I don't have any countries in mind right now for Russians. I haven't looked into that recently. I think Southeast Asia or some former Soviet republics would be probably the best bet. But that's what you should be doing right now. And the second tip would be for Russians, don't do anything that will make you ineligible for the good luck visa or for the Gomez visa. What I mean by that, then this applies not just to Gomez or good luck Russians, but to all DVs waiting for the final appeal outcome. Let's say you apply for a visitor visa, and in that interview, you give misleading information or you give a document that is not authentic, and they deny you. That denial grounds will prevent you from ever entering the U.S. So people who may have had a path to DV 2020 or 2021 when we win the appeal, I've heard from more than one person who has destroyed that route because they have messed around and created a problem that cannot be fixed. So if you apply for a non-immigrant visa, like a tourist or a student visa, be honest. Don't try to cheat the system. You cannot trick the State Department. The State Department knows everything, okay? I don't have a third tip for Russians. Hang in there. This can't last forever. This crazy stuff that's going on, it won't last forever. Okay. Frida asked, waiting until when Gomez class? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So don't go ask the question to somebody else because nobody knows. The only people that know when that opinion will come is the court itself, and they don't even know because they're not trying to hit a certain date. They're trying to get it done and get it done right. And that's what we want. We want to beat the appeal. We don't want the answer to be as fast as possible. Moving fast. Outer says, is there any hope to issue a final ruling on DV 2020 soon? I hope that happens. Yes, I hope that happens. I do not expect it because I don't have an expectation about something I can't know. But you can hope for that. I hope for that. Frida says, we are all frustrated. Yes, I understand. Me too. Ambrose says, Morrison, Urena, LC, tell us, boss. We still waiting about DV 20 and 2021? Yes, we are, boss. I don't have a specific question for today. Says, I just want to know if there's speculation concerning the good luck case. There's always speculation, and most of the speculation does not serve anybody's interest. Let me give you an example. There were a lot of, recently someone said that the appeal answer will come January 17th, and it got floated around, and then on January 17th, I got 400 messages and couldn't get any work done because everybody was like, well, where's the answer? Well, I never said that. That was just somebody speculating. So this speculation causes people to set inappropriate expectations about what will happen. There's no reason to speculate. If we don't have information, you can't take no information and try to build information from no information. We don't know when the opinion will come. Outer says, how long should we wait for DV 2020 reserve visas? I don't know, Outer. Do you have something else to do? If you don't want to wait because you have something else to do, go ahead, do your other thing. But if you don't have, it's not really, it's up to you. If you don't want to wait anymore, and that's fine. The other people who are waiting would be grateful that you are improving their chances of getting a visa. Okay. So if anybody's decided, hey, I can't deal with this being in limbo and this anxiety anymore, completely understand. Just don't think about it anymore. I think that's premature, but I understand people have to go on with their lives. I understand. James says, I appreciate your efforts. I think we need to be more patient with the court, and we see what their opinion will be sooner. Thank you, James. Thank you. I agree. I dropped my pen. Amin says, can we apply for the asylum seeker program, and what are the procedures? You can only seek asylum from within the United States or at the port of entry. So if you're sitting somewhere in Asia or Africa asking that question, the answer is no. There's been some communication by the government that confuses people on that because there's also something called the refugee program. That's different. That's administered by UNRWRAP or something. I forget the acronym actually. It's not even, we don't handle it, and it's not even administered by the State Department. Doesn't even do the first step. A nonprofit NGO does the first step. It's also a long shot, like probably 1 out of every 500 people or something actually gets to the U.S. going through that program. The U.S. does not take as many refugees in as a country our size should. It's kind of embarrassing how few refugees we take in, actually. Vladimir says, how are you? I'm good. Is it difficult for you to work with us all the time? DV 2021. Well, I would not say difficult. There are people that have a much more difficult life than me. Okay. What I happen to love the DV 2021 and DV 2021 selectees in a way because you've shown this sort of patience and determination, patience and determination that I have not seen in another group of people. And it's very interesting that you're made up of, I think that it's like 61 different countries. You're from all over the world, all different faiths, all different ages, all different sexual orientations, all different ages. I said that already. What I'm saying is an extremely diverse group, but what you share in common is you're just very determined and at the same time reasonably patient. Sometimes people come to me and they're very upset, and then when I explain the situation and assure them they're fine, and as a group, I'm really impressed with you all. And so it's been a pleasure of my life to represent you, and I hope that we get you all what you want. And it's actually tragic that I know that we won't get all of you what you want, because Judge Mehta did not reserve enough visas for all of you. He only reserved enough visas for a portion. Hello, sir. Is there any update about DV 2020? I already covered that, Ermin. No. Is there an option for Gomez attorneys and consolidated case attorneys to file a request in which you ask the court to expedite the order? No. From Telegram, Tappy asked, I want to know more about DV 2020. Hi, Tappy. That's a very general question. I could actually talk for about 20 hours about DV 2020. I'm just going to skip to the end. I assume you're waiting on what happens next. We have to beat the Biden administration's appeal, and then the case, Judge Mehta will remove the stay if we win, and those 9,095 visas will be issued. So that's what we're waiting on. Jeta says hi. Hi, Jeta. Lots of questions today. Anne says, hi, my DV family. We are a family. I feel like this now, as we are all in this a long time now. That is true. And you know the DV 2020 that came through in 2020 and also for 2021. I actually met a couple of them in Huntington Beach and Oceanside and things. And I'm like, where are you staying? Oh, I'm staying with Kennedy Plaintiff 365, because these friendships that you've made in these Telegram groups and these WhatsApp groups and these forums, they survive this ordeal. And it's kind of beautiful. Someday a movie is going to be made about that, I'm pretty sure. You can be the star, Anne. Okay, Adnay says, what if someone just got rejected on a non-immigrant visa and they happen to appear illegally through Mexico? What if? That means they appeared illegally through Mexico. Illegally through Mexico. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't understand if you mean that they entered the U.S. And if they did enter the U.S., how did they enter the U.S.? Because if you present yourself at the border seeking asylum, you're not entering the U.S. illegally. Entering the U.S. illegally means you're climbing over a fence, swimming a river, or which both are misdemeanors, or you're misrepresenting yourself as a U.S. citizen to a border agent or something like that. So I'm not sure what you mean by the question. But if that is the case, if you're in the U.S. and then you're undocumented, you probably need an attorney. That's what I would say. The government is appealing and the court does not want to issue the decision. Is it over? You, Handy, you do not know that the court does not want to issue the decision. That is not accurate, okay? Just because somebody hasn't done something doesn't mean that they don't want to do it. It means they haven't got to it yet. We need to stay patient. We do not disrespect the court, okay? And I realize that's not what you were doing. I'm standing up. I was thinking that would be better, but it's got me all excited and worked up like a kid with too much sugar. Patrick says, evening, Curtis. Any hope of the Department of State final rule of waiving immigrant visa interviews in April 2023? Should F category visa applicants be hopeful? I don't think there's any hope of that happening ever. Okay. The reason I don't think that is because the State Department believes in their heart that consular officers interviewing immigrant visa applicants have the ability to be human lie detector tests and perceive people that are committing fraud or being are planning to come to the U.S. for bad purposes. And as long as they believe that, they're not going to give up the opportunity to interview immigrant visa applicants. Okay, so that's my point of view. Is there any hope of that? I don't think so. We can ask for it. I know, I believe Nicolette Glazer filed a lawsuit about that. That's actually pending. She lost before Judge Mehta, I think, and then she appealed it to the same circuit court that our Gomez and Goodluck case is in. But the court in Gomez and Goodluck says, you know what, we're not going to deal with that case until we deal with this case. So it is a legal issue that could be decided. I'm not optimistic, but I appreciate the question and the thinking and also the legal challenge. Mohammed says, is there any possibility of state lifting the residency requirements for IV interviews in embassies that have long backlogs, i.e. we could go to interview somewhere else? Secretary Blinken, if you're listening, is there any possibility? I have not heard that the State Department is considering that, but it would make so much sense. The only time it doesn't make sense is when the visa applicants do not speak English. As everyone knows, Iranians know, Yerevan, Ankara, and Abu Dhabi all have Farsi-speaking consular officers. That's not true with all embassies. So if you don't speak English, that would cause a little bit of a challenge if you went to an embassy that they don't speak your language. So that's one thing. But you know what? They don't care about that when it comes to visitor visas or student visas. You could do a student visa or a visitor visa interview at any embassy you want. So I don't know. I think it's a great idea, but I'm not the person to ask. When the State Department when Julie Stuff has her little, I forget what she calls it, her live stream show, whatever it is. State Department has a YouTube channel. Ask her that question. I would love her to be asked that question. I would love a journalist in the State Department press corps to ask Ned Price, the State Department spokesman, that question. I'd love that. Somebody ask that question to the State Department, not me. What about DV 2020? Great group of people. DV 2021, also great group of people, but many of them, their visa journeys are over because they are not protected by Goodluck or Ray. From Telegram, we get, what does the case status update mean, signify during AP processing of U.S. visa? Okay, you're talking about the SEAC status. And I'm going to answer this question realizing that some people listening won't know what I'm talking about because they are at a different part of the process with USCIS or whatever. But basically, when a visa application is with the State Department, you could go to this website, SEAC, and you could do status check, and it'll say either at NVC, in transit, I'm forgetting one of them. It'll say administrative processing. Very rare. They tried to retire that, or it'll say refused. This is the least helpful website in the world for giving people what their status is because it's never given anyone their status or issued. The only status that matters that is helpful is when it says issued. Okay. What this questioner is referring to is this little line that says last updated on, and it does not necessarily mean that there was an update in your case. The reason I know that is I could send an email with a G28 asking for an inquiry on your case, and when they open that email, it'll say, oh, there was an update in your case on this day. There was no update. They just got an email. And then there was a couple days in 2021 where I remember everybody got it, like across the board. So they just basically did some kind of software update. I encourage people not to try to read things into just circumstances. Just because that's updated does not necessarily mean anything. Don't go sell your house or anything like that, okay? From Telegram, my girlfriend won a green card in 2022. We are going to get married. I would like to clarify it better to get married in the U.S. to get a tourist visa or get married in our country, Russia, and then reunite via F2A. Thank you in advance. Okay. When you say won a green card in 2022, that's not a legal phrase that makes sense. I don't know if you are a DV 2021 selectee, DV 20, if she was a 2021, 22, 23 selectee, whether she's entered the U.S., whether she has the green card. So I'm going to have to make some assumptions to answer this question. I'm going to assume that she's already came to the U.S. and she has a green card, and now she wants to petition you. Well, green card holders cannot petition fiancés, so there's nothing you can do right now. Once you get married, no matter where you get married, she can petition for you with what's called a Form I-130. It's a $535 USCIS fee. Different attorneys charge different amounts to represent you. The common amount I use is $3,000 to represent you from the beginning of the process to the end. That's because this is not a short process. This process will take 2 to 3, up to 4 years if you are assigned to an embassy such as Islamabad or Mumbai, or maybe even Abu Dhabi. So it's a very long process. And you said whether it's married to get in the U.S. or get married in Russia, it doesn't matter for the petition, like whether you were married in the U.S. or Russia. I married my spouse in Mexico. You can marry in any country. It's still legal in the U.S. However, if you get married in the U.S. on a tourist visa, not a Schengen visa, it may be possible that your spouse could adjust status, okay? So that's something you want to talk to an immigration attorney about, because there are some consequences and some challenges with that are huge, and you want to make sure you understand them before you put yourselves on a path that has major consequences to your life, okay? But if your girlfriend can get a visitor visa before you're married, I strongly recommend that, because after you're married, that will probably not be possible. It's very rare that a spouse of a green card holder or a U.S. citizen is issued a visitor visa. So if you get that visa before you're married, that's good. Donald Trump signed a sick decree and Biden made promises he would lift the decree, and here he is in power. He fooled immigrants. Well, I don't think he was talking to immigrants. I think he fooled Democrats. I agree with what you're saying. I think he was making promises to Democrats on things they wanted to hear, but apparently, to a lot of Democrats, that wasn't the most important issue because they're not really complaining about it. Many Democrats are. So the Biden administration has done a good job on some things. I think with respect to COVID, I think is one of those things, and a bad job on some other things. And immigration would be one of those other things. I agree with that. Thank you, Amin. She says, nice pep talk. I don't feel like I'm doing a nice pep talk. I think I sound mean a lot of times, and I'm not trying to be mean. I want everybody to understand things as best they can. My family, just pray hard and be positive. And you have a great family. Let's make Anne the star of the movie. We're not making a movie. Maybe. Okay. Tony Buttress says, up. I think that's something the kids do on the internet. I'm too old to know. From Telegram, hi Curtis, happy to hear you. Do new immigrants who entered the U.S. in September 2022 need to file a tax return for 2022? That is a question that is a good question. That is not a question for me or Britt Simon or any other influencer. That is a question for an accountant. Okay? I don't do my own taxes. I don't cut my own hair, even though it looks like it. Just joking. No, I don't cut my own hair. I don't do my own taxes. I use an accountant, and I recommend you use an accountant to do your taxes, just like I recommend you use an attorney to handle your immigration case, okay? So somewhere there's an accountant doing a live stream. You can ask them there, but what I would do is probably call one up, make an appointment, get a relationship, because if you're a new green card holder in the U.S., you're going to need to file taxes every year. So you're going to need a relationship with an accountant. That's what I recommend. Doing your taxes on your own, oh my gosh. I could not do that. Okay. Hamza says, any update on IR1 interviews for U.S. Embassy Islamabad? Also, due to this backlog, lots of marriages are falling apart. What should we do? I do not have an update. We have a specific lawsuit for 10 IR1 families waiting on Islamabad, challenging 3 unlawful policies leading to those delays. So that's why this person is coming to me with this question. So far, only one of those 10 families has been scheduled for an interview. So we don't have an update. I will say this, though. A lot of people have been coming to me saying, when are you going to file the next group lawsuit? And there's a curse with group lawsuits. There's a benefit in that they're more affordable, but there's a curse. The government wants to fight a group lawsuit. When you file an individual mandamus lawsuit, a lawsuit just for one application, it's more expensive, and that's not fair, but the government's less likely to fight it. So if you're in that situation, if you're a U.S. citizen and your spouse hasn't had a visa interview and it's been a year, okay, if it was me, I would file a mandamus lawsuit. I wouldn't wait for a group lawsuit. I wouldn't wait for the administration to figure it out themselves because they don't care. They may never figure it out. Heaven forbid. I want to keep fighting them until they figure it out. But Islamabad, I have no positive feedback to share today. Okay. And I just realized that some of my viewers are English as a second language, and I'm talking very fast. I apologize for that. I just keep seeing all these questions, and I want to get to all of them. Okay. Adnay says, I thought that coming through the border was illegal because USA is building a wall. Well, I disagree with that sentence. I'm not saying it's legal to just walk across the border. I'm saying if you present yourself at a port of entry to a Customs and Border Patrol officer and you're seeking asylum, something you didn't mention here, it's legal to seek asylum in the U.S. What is if they had your fingerprints while you seek asylum on Mexican border? Okay, and your question implies that you would. Okay, I think what you're getting at is if you seek asylum, if you come across or you enter the U.S. undocumented, is it going to have consequences for a DV journey? If that's a question, yes. If you choose to cross into the U.S. at the Mexican border, you're actually like abandoning the DV process, really, because asylum seekers are stuck in the U.S. They can't leave the U.S. without any kind of guarantee that they can come back to the U.S. So how are you going to go to interview outside the U.S.? And we don't, for reserved visas from Gomez and Goodluck, we do not know if the government will allow us to use adjustment of status within the U.S. for those visas. I'm making some assumptions about your question because I didn't know if it even involves a DV. But basically, if you want a legal path to the U.S. and you are a DV winner from 2020 or your Goodluck 2021 or already eligible, let's wait for this process. Don't complicate it and cause problems by trying to enter at the Mexican border. That is, unless you are being hunted by the Taliban or the Russian government's trying to conscript you into a war you don't want to participate in, or you're in Iran and you're a protester that's about to get arrested or something like that. If you are fleeing persecution, come to the U.S. border and seek asylum. If you are legitimately fleeing past or future persecution. Okay? I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that. I know the Biden administration does, and I think it's irreprehensible. That means bad. It's bad that they would discourage people from seeking asylum that need it. Okay. Handy says, I found a table in the article of the Columbia District Court that the panel of judges is issued after 136 days, and there is 150 opinions for fiscal year 2023. I don't know if that table is correct. Handy, email me what you're looking at, and I'll tell you. I will tell you that the Columbia District Court does not sound anything to do with what we're waiting on, because we're waiting on the Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. It's a different court. But maybe you just left out some words and put district instead. But if you email me that, I'll look at it. It doesn't matter. No matter what that table says, this 3-judge panel takes as much time as they want. Federal judges are not on a deadline. We don't get to tell them what to do. Jamal from Telegram says, hello, Mr. Curtis. Could we expect relief from Congress or the president for DVs? Not this Congress and not this president. I wish I had a different answer. Yusuf says, hello, sir. I'm one of the plaintiffs in Goodluck 2021 from Morocco. Is there any update? No, Yusuf. We are waiting 2 years. Yes, Yusuf, I know. We are tired. Yes. I'm tired too. Raymond says, hello. Hello, Raymond. How long are we going to wait again for DV 2020? I don't know, Raymond. Oh my gosh, I think I might actually finish all the questions today. House That says, is it better with a 485 to wait and submit a lot of evidence to include medical, or submit with available docs that submit an interview? I think I have received emails from Ayla that says it's better to include the medical. I think that there's a good chance it could expedite your process if you do. However, this question, it's not my area of expertise. So do not trust that answer. Hire an attorney to research that for you, which could be us, but I can't research it right now. I'm alive. That's the same question. Any update on Naveed versus Blinken? No. The government's response of pleading, which is either a motion to dismiss or an answer. In this case, we know it's going to be a motion to dismiss, is due in a few days. I think it's due February 4th. That's a Saturday, so that means it'll be due the Monday, February 6th. Also due on that day will be what's called an index of the administrative record that shows everything that is in the administrative record for the three unlawful policies that we are challenging. The government has asked for relief from having to comply with Local Rule 7N that requires them to file that index. The judge has not ruled on that yet. If the judge does not rule on it, that means they have to file that index. Either way, I think we're going to get some information on February 4th. Even without that index, usually the government, when they file a motion to dismiss on a group lawsuit, we get gifts. And what I mean by gifts is exhibits that are declarations that tell us what's going on with this terribly ran government agency that is super secretive, that doesn't tell us anything that's going on. This is one of the few ways we have to figure out what is going on. So they will, in an effort to show that the judge that they're reasonable, I expect that they will attach exhibits to their motion that say, look, this is what Islamabad is doing. And I'm hopeful that we'll actually get a declaration that says what the size of the backlog is. If we don't get that declaration, do you know what that means? That means it's grown since we filed that Naveed lawsuit. And I think they know that I'm going to point that out. So it'll be interesting to see what comes on February 4th. Of course, we'll be, anybody that knows Morrison Urena, we're very transparent about our group litigation. I'll be redacting any personal information and probably sharing that the following day, linking it on Telegram, Twitter, on Facebook, and also the website. If y'all didn't know, you can go to our website and find the important docket filings for most of our group lawsuits that are underway right now. I say most, all of our group lawsuits. Our individual lawsuits, they're just done for one petition. We don't put those up there. Yep, that's our website. Thank you, Gomez. Am I doing this? I'm really messing things up. I've already got my green card in the U.S. Great. And got back home. How much time do I have to return to the U.S.? Okay, your home is the U.S., so you are being confusing, Irina. When you use the word home, once you are a green card holder, you need to realize that the United States is your home. Get that in your mind, because otherwise you're going to have a problem entering the U.S. with a Customs Border Patrol agent. Because if they think you have a green card holder and you don't think the U.S. is your home, they're going to have a problem with you. Okay, so I'm going to substitute, instead of the word home, you're visiting the old country. How much time do you have to return to the U.S.? Most immigration attorneys say it's not a good idea to stay out more than 6 months. I would concur with that. But actually, I don't even like that, okay? Because at any time, we can see the next COVID strain. We could see the next war. We could see a weather disaster. We could see an airline canceling flights, and you could get stuck over there. You could get COVID and not be able to travel. So there were a lot of people who overstayed their visas, green cards, and those were considered abandoned during the Trump and COVID years. And I don't think it's worth the risk. Of course, every situation is different, right? So at a very minimum, like 6 months, get back in the U.S. there used to be this thing for the first year, they were a little flexible with you because they realized you had to wrap up things in the old country. But I don't even trust that anymore. The U.S. government just is not your friend. So it's better not to play games. It's better not to do what is just enough. It's better to just be safe. Edney says, I've seen on some group that opinions will be posted on the second and last Tuesday of the month. Is that correct information? That is close, Edney. One of the plaintiffs recently did a spreadsheet with every opinion from the Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia for like the last couple of years. And it turned out there was a pattern. I can't remember exactly what the pattern was. I think it was all the opinions come on Tuesdays or Fridays with like 3 or 4 exceptions. So, I mean, I don't see the value in knowing that information really. Because even if we did know what that, they could always make an exception. Okay. So the opinion will come when it comes, and I would not expect it on a specific day. That appreciate why you're trying to figure it out. Telegram. Don't you have an option to be asking to judge, like, when will you explain your decision about DV cases with your lawyer title? And then Curtis, why don't you answer this? My question. I couldn't hear if you did. No, we do not have an option to be asking the judge, when will you explain your decision about DV cases? That would be the same as asking the judge, why don't they do their job? That would be completely disrespectful. The judges have they're in the best position to gauge which case they need to be working on and prioritize their own dockets, okay? They are very, very not happy with plaintiffs, defendants, or lawyers who attempt to intervene and show their expectations with respect to the judge's orders. The government has done that with Judge Mehta, I think Judge Chutkan, I'm not sure, in the DV cases. And the judge was not happy with them, and he did not give them what they wanted. Okay, we are not in a position of leverage over a judge ever. So, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. That's what we need to be. Not, they're not our enemy. Okay, judges are not causing our problem. It's the Biden administration. That's who filed the appeal. If you're mad at somebody, be mad at Secretary Antony Blinken, who is fighting to throttle legal immigration and keep diversity visa immigrants out of the United States. That's who to be angry with. U.S. State Department, not our judges. They're our only hope, okay? So let's stop it with this. Let's go back to the judges and bug them. We're not going to bug a judge, okay? It's not going to happen. Okay. Handy says, outcome, median days for panels of judges to decide cases, court dates, 136 days, written in the table. Handy, have you emailed this to me yet? Because that does not sound like the Circuit Court of Appeals for the District Court of Columbia. I should probably clarify something on that for those of you who are researching this thing that is not really that important, but federal courts are different than state courts, and the District of Columbia has its own court and an appeals court that's separate from the federal court and its appeals court, okay? So it could be you're looking at a website for one of the 3 other court systems instead of the Circuit Court of Appeals for the District Court of Columbia. The reason I say it doesn't sound right because I know that their goal was, a former circuit court judge said that their goal was 180 days. And a lot of cases are not done in 180 days. So I really don't think it would be 136. That would surprise me. It could be, but it would surprise me. That has been an extremely fun hour of power. And I appreciate all the questions. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm being mean or angry. It's just better if I make sure that you understand. Okay, that's what I'm wanting to do. I want everybody to have the best understanding possible. So until next week, we'll do Let's Talk Immigration, episode 14 next Wednesday. Hope you can join us. Namaste. Das vidanya. Adios.